Welcome. In front of me is a OnePlus Pad 2, and today I'll show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. So let's get started by opening up settings, and in here we're gonna navigate to Wallpaper and Style, which is a general section where you can customize the look and feel of your device. Now in here you'll find simple things like wallpapers, but you also get more intricate ones like fonts. If you download more fonts from like Play Store, they should show up right here and you can choose from them. Right now there's only the limitation of the ones that come pre-installed. Now we also have things like icons as well. This will work similarly to the fonts, but it also has, as you can see, more options. So you have things like icon sizes right here, names. You can shrink them. You can also get rid of the names altogether if you want to, and you can also supposedly, I think, change the, there we go, the shapes of them. So there we go. Now going back, let's move over to home screen and a lock screen. And here we'll have home screen mode. And we have two different options to choose from. We have the standard mode, which I just cannot get past this. Standard mode would be standard for Apple device, not an Android. Standard mode for Android is the drawer mode. So yeah. Now the difference is standard mode has all the applications smack in the middle of the home screen, like an iPhone would, while drawer mode has this pull-up drawer where all the applications are stored, and the ones on the home screen are just kind of like the copies that you can get rid of to have your home screen look clean, for instance. Now additionally here, I think it's here. Nope, it's not here. Let's see if I can find this. Okay, so this is a default. So I was looking for the pull down gestures, as OnePluses typically have something that's called a shelf, but here it's automatically just pull down for notifications. In any case, let's move over to the display, and here we have things like the light and dark mode, which are available to you to choose from while you're going through the setup of your device for the first time. And later on you can change between those in here, and I believe also in your notifications. I think you can add a toggle for this, but what you don't have is the option for a schedule dark mode. So here when you enable it, you have the option to choose either from sunset to sunrise or on a custom timer. So you can set what time it's running in light mode and what time it switches to dark mode, giving you best of both worlds. Now moving a little bit further down, we have things like adaptive tone. This just tries to get the colors around you. As you can see right now, the white tries to match the whiteness right here. This is not like perfectly, set up recording place. So there is a couple of like warm lights here, and that's why it looked on the camera like it just turned massively yellow. If I were to turn off some of the warmer lights and turn everything more bluish, so as an example, I turn off the warm light here and the little softbox that is right there, turn it to cold, it would actually change the tone of the display to this more cold looking display to fit in with the environment that it sees around here. So that's something that is also similarly taken from something like an Apple device, where they have this true tone display. That's basically what it tries to mimic. Now I'm going to keep it at this as it does kind of fit more with everything around here. Now moving a little bit further down, we have a video enhancement engine. This basically allows you to try to improve the video image. So we have image sharpener. Basically what I could basically explain this as is upscaling. Sharpening technically isn't upscaling, it just makes things have less anti-aliasing in a way, or maybe not anti-aliasing, but just try to make it more distinct pixel to pixel. So in reality, if you're looking at sharpened image when you have low quality, this is what you would actually have with a sharpened image. But the side-to-side comparison between those two would imply more that this is more like a upscaling. You can test it out and see how it affects it, but this is good for low resolution images. Now That being said, this option, along with the other one that I'm about to show, does consume more of your tablet's battery, as it does try to use processor to improve this, so more power will be needed to do that. Now the power draw shouldn't be anything significant, so don't worry, you shouldn't be noticing this that much, but if you do, you can turn that off if you don't want it. And additionally, we have the video color boost, same kind of battery kind of consumption approach right here. It uses processor to try to improve it, so it will consume more. And the difference between images, again, you can see right here. So this one looks more dark, while this one has a bit more color to it, a bit more oomph. It stands out a little bit better, as the exposure contrast ratios are tweaked a little bit more to give you a more appealing image. And it tries to do the standard dynamic range to high dynamic range improvements, so it tries to convert something that doesn't use high dynamic range to a high dynamic range, which should give you brighter image where the device thinks it should be brighter, while keeping other things still the same brightness. Now further down we have screen refresh rate right here, and we have a couple options. We have the auto select, standard, and high. Now, right now it's selected on the worst possible option, I would say, as high option will run at permanently 144 Hz on here. There is no reason for you to use this, as auto select basically benefits from the 144 Hz refresh rate when you need it, but when you don't, it drops it down to 60 or possibly even lower. So auto select will give you battery life while keeping the nice smoothness of the 144 Hz. And here you have two images that just show you the difference between standard and high, while auto select is basically a combination of those two. I also want to point out that the standard right here is greatly exaggerated in how choppy it is. Obviously standard isn't that bad. Just to showcase this, you can see it's still a nice smooth motion, though not as smooth as high is. So there we go. Now I want to point out that on the camera you won't really see that big of a difference. The only thing that you can see, camera is recording at 60 frames, so anything above that gets lost. But what you can see, even though the refresh rate is the same for the camera, is how this looks in motion when it's scrolling up and down. The standard, you can see more of the individual writing in between, so you can see it more choppy, while if I switch to high, it becomes more of a blur kind of. So you can see kind of different, it looks a bit different, I would say. And the reason for that is, on the camera what you might end up seeing is two frames at the same time, where they kind of like overlaid over, just for instance the display appears in two separate places, as you're getting twice as many frames, so the camera might pick up two frames at the same time instead of one like this one would have been, as it would have been the same kind of refresh rate. So standard looks more defined when scrolling up and down on the camera, but in person this looks way smoother. So that's obviously the appeal. If I haven't ever used this, you can check it out, swap between these two, see which one you like more. Probably will like the high more in terms of how it looks like. So in this case I do recommend swapping to auto select, as like I mentioned before, this will give you both of the refresh rates. Now the way this works is, when there's no moving content on the screen, the device automatically switches to 60. Now there is a moving content right now, so it is running at 144 or possibly 60, as this could be just running at 60 in reality. But if I were to just leave this page, nothing moving here, this is running most certainly 60 or below refresh rate. So it tries to preserve battery life in this kind of aspect, but the moment I start to swipe up and down, it's going to 144 for that nice battery smooth motion. Last thing to mention, if you don't see a difference between those two, stick with standard. This will give you better battery life. Now moving further, we have notifications and status bar. And here we can start off by going to the status bar, and we have a bunch of different toggles. I'm advocate for hiding most of those. I don't like clutter in my status bar right here, so I do like to get rid of most of it. And we have things in here that you might have running permanently, so things like Bluetooth. I like to hide this. It brings me no benefit to see this in there. I have it always on, so no reason for it to be visible. Do not disturb mode, again, I don't really care. I don't use it ever, so honestly I kind of don't need to turn it off. Another thing, real-time network speed, don't care to see this, so I like to hide it. And I have other things like voice calls over Wi-Fi. Now this is a tablet, so you probably won't see this, but on the phones you can also utilize this and get rid of it if you want to. So you can hide basically all of this. Another thing, right here we have a vertical battery and a percentage next to it. If you change the battery style to horizontal, like this one, you can actually have the percentage show inside of the battery. Neither the loop nor the vertical one don't give you this option. And just to showcase, see there is nothing here. I can just hide the percentage. Same thing goes for the loop, but horizontal gives me the option to have outside battery or inside, giving me a cleaner look to it. And another thing is the notification icons right here. By default, every device shows you about 3 icons for notifications for 3 different apps. And if you have more, it just shows you these like 3 dots. You can change this to show you how many notifications you have as a number that is compounded right here. And if you want to know more, you just swipe down and you get the notifications. Now it shows 2 notifications right here, but the device considers them as one, as they are both from Google. So there we go. And a last thing that I wanted to show is actually 2 different things. Let me just quickly try to find it. So one will be in the system and the update, and that is the navigation, system navigation. And here we have the buttons and gestures. So you can enable that. I'm actually not going to be learning this, I already know. And when you enable this, if you never used it, you can go through that guide, obviously. Additionally here, if you already have selected gestures throughout the setup, you can still navigate in here, because we have other things that you can tweak around, like for instance, high gesture bar guide, which is this bar right here at the bottom. We can get rid of it for a cleaner look. And it also shifts the display a little bit lower to give you a more full screen experience. We also have swipe to previous app. This option might be useful if you want to utilize this kind of option, but I personally don't really care. What it allows you to do is hold, and you can see it appears with a previous application, but you can do the same thing by just swiping down here, and it will work the same way that, for instance, an iPad would. So there we go. So I don't really care for that. And lastly, in here we have the left and right edge sensitivity. When you start swiping these, I can see, there we go, it shows up with a sensitivity for the sides. So what that refers to is when you're doing the back gesture, this one, it shows you where your finger needs to start off the gesture, or the basically motion. So off that blue bar, when it was visible right here, come on, there we go. So your finger needs to be in this blue bar and move outside of it to activate the gesture. And you can make it more responsive or less. So for this, you would basically need to start off the bezel, and it will be the kind of least, it will give you the least amount of mistake back swipes like this ones. Well, here you might sometimes want to just flip through a page of images or stuff like that, and you might just, you know, bring up the back button, and it might not be something that you wanted to do. So you can increase or decrease the sensitivity in there. And last thing would be the bar right here that you can bring up by holding your finger on the bottom of the screen. There we go. So that's one thing, and this allows you to multitask. So if I just bring up something like Chrome, I can grab it, drag it over, drop it, and easy split screening. And another thing that I can do is, well, apart from just move these to side to give me more or less space, sorry for that, I can also access this side panel right here. So I get started, and here we have also applications that we can access, and shortcuts, along with editing options, so you can add more applications in here or shortcuts. But if we press on something like Photos, it will open up Photos. And can I just get rid of it? There we go. In this kind of pop-up view. So you can move this around. You can also minimize this by just dragging it all the way to the side, like so. And it gives you this tiny little arrow. You can press on it and just whips out the application. Move it around. You can shrink it or make it bigger. And you can still use everything that is in the background, apart from apparently settings. So one thing that I want to point out here, based on this, OnePlus did a very good job right here with this. When you have an application that doesn't support, for some reason, split screening, which settings right now in the form that it is, it's not going to support it, as it has the sidebar. So this is more of a full screen option. For split screen, it would just need to have the settings, and then you navigate to this section, kind of like on a phone. You can also do this view. So this is pulled straight from their foldable phone, which leads me to believe we can actually do more than that. Let's see. Okay, that just replaced it. Okay, so it looks like we don't have the... Oh no, we do. There we go. So you can see now we have 3 applications open. And the way this works is... let's see, can I do more? No. So I can do these applications separately right here. You can also flip them around, like so. And I can switch to other applications like this. And it looks like we can also use them in this kind of form factor. So this might not be the most appealing kind of form factor, but it is available to you if you want. So it gives you decent multitasking options. Now, anyway, with that being said, this would conclude the tweaks and tricks around the show. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.